Who is Francis Ngannou? Who is Francis Ngannou? Who is Francis Ngannou? Who is Francis Ngannou? Who? Who? Who is Francis Ngannou? Who is Francis Ngannou? What's up, people? Today's segment is Who is Francis Ngannou? We're going to have a great segment. I just want to have a little fun before every segment. If that's cool with you all. Who is Francis Ngannou? UFC 220. Who ready? Let's take a deeper look. Today we're going to take a deeper look into the man. Today we're going to take a deeper look into the hype. Find out the beginnings, the past, and the present for this man. Let's check it out. Who is Francis Ngannou? He an African and I ain't talking about Mustafa. He knocked over Rini, got the feeling like Rocky. Stole on Olofsky, said can't nobody stop me. He fucking Cass hard and I ain't talking about hockey. He getting a lot of friends, people jumping on his jockey. Because he hit you in the nose, your whole face snotty. Like you sniffing coke and you ain't Whitney or Bobby. Woo! What's up, people? Yo, what's up, everybody? This is your boy, Real Major Fight Commentary, and today our segment is going to be about the up-and-coming challenger, UFC 220, Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou is a very pulverizing figure because this guy pretty much came onto the scene 2 years ago, made his UFC debate, and got to knocking everybody out cold. I mean, he has like one submission fight, but it never goes the distance with this guy. And I'm a big fan because he's an absolute beast. I mean, this guy is knocking everybody out. And if you never heard of his story or never heard of him, I'm so glad that I can be the one to gift you with learning about how this guy actually got it, because it's really inspirational how he got from where he was at 2 years ago to today, because this guy was actually homeless 2 years ago. And I mean, this segment, I just want to dive into it and just give everybody the real truth about Francis Ngannou, because he's such a nice guy and he's always smiling and seems very humble. And I wanted to give people the real truth about Francis Ngannou. And the truth is, Francis Ngannou was a 33-year-old guy, and this guy started fighting 2 years ago. He started late in life for a reason, because he had a real rough upbringing and a whole lot of demons that probably follow him, but he's still very kind, and he's still very humble in his approach to everything. But this guy was born in Cameroon. I think it's Bataille, Cameroon. This guy lived in Bataille, Cameroon, and worked in sand quarries basically until he was 12 years old. I mean, this guy basically, from the time he can talk, get up and walk in this very impoverished country, was working in sand quarries. And it's amazing. You know, he's fighting for the UFC championship right now. To me, when I read his story, when I was looking at different articles and trying to find stuff about him, I just thought that was pretty dope. Well, I'm sorry, he didn't start working. I want to clarify. He didn't start working in the sand mines. The minute he got up and walked, he started when he was 12 years old. But that's still amazing, because he was 12 years old, he started working in sand quarries. But it said before then, since the time he get up, it said in an article, before that time, before he started working in the sand quarries, he pretty much worked anywhere that he possibly could. Like as far back as he can remember, trying to help his family gather food, trying to help grow a crop for the farm. I mean, just pretty much trying to help his family eat, because they was very poor in this very poor country with little opportunity. It kind of makes you very appreciative to be an American reading his story. But basically, in his village, when he became 12 and got to working in the sand quarry, he was approached by a lot of gangs. He said there was a lot of gangs and a lot of different warlords, because there was a lot of wars in this country with gangs and just a lot of violence. He said he was being approached by a lot of bad people, and them trying to get him to join their gangs or whatever, riffraff they was into. And they pretty much basically telling him it was an easier way to make money than what he was doing. than what he was doing, but he continued to work at those sand quarries until he turned 22 years old, and that's when he began to start studying boxing. He said that he would always hear stories as a kid about Muhammad Ali and the rumble in the jungle with George Foreman. He said he would hear those stories. That's how he took a liking to boxing. He said he didn't get a chance to watch TV a lot, but when he did, he would always try to keep up with Muhammad Ali, which when he was a young man, which led him to begin to become a big fan of Mike Tyson. He said he was a huge fan of Mike Tyson. So when he became 22 years old, his dream always had been a boxer. So at 22, he started to train for boxing. And when he started training for boxing, he eventually grew ill. And Francis, at 22 years old, I don't know exactly. It doesn't nowhere I can find specifically when he got sick, when he was 22 or whatever. But they said after he started training for boxing for a little while, he eventually got sick and had to stop training due to illness. But what's interesting about that is his family did not actually want him training to begin with. His family wanted him to continue to work in the sand quarries or just find a better job, to help the family keep gathering food and help the family get better. But he actually got sick and grew ill, and then he started working various jobs again just to make ends meet until he was 26. When he was 26 years old, he migrated to Paris, France to pursue a professional boxing career. Now think about this. This is a poor kid from Bataille, Cameroon, traveling to Paris, France. He doesn't know nobody. He doesn't have any friends, no relatives, nobody he knows is there. And he's trying to pursue a boxing career coming from a small village in a very, very impoverished country. I mean, that in itself is a pretty amazing story. Just if we just said period and stopped it right there, to me that's pretty amazing, just because it has to be a blessing, not to sound harsh enough, but it had to be a blessing to just get the hell out of Cameroon at that point, working in the sand quarry. But the end of the day, when he was 26, he went to Paris, France to pursue a professional boxing career. He had no money, no friends. That man was homeless. People, he was homeless. In an article that I read, it said he was homeless for like 3 or 4 months. And he was actually homeless while he was training. So he actually found a trainer in France, and he was actually homeless while he was training, because in one of his interviews that I was watching, he said that his trainer eventually took him in, and his trainer eventually took him in to pursue MMA, but he said he was actually homeless before that, because he had, the guys, his trainer, they liked him, but they just did not know him. That's basically what it boils down to. And his coach actually introduced him to the sport after about 3 or 4 months of training. His coach's name, I'm bad with names, you gotta get his name. It's Fernand Lopez Awan Yabe. I'm just gonna say Awan Yabe. What you gonna say? Fernand Lopez at the MMA factory, introduced him to MMA and planted that seed into his mind. He actually began training for MMA, and he actually started his MMA training career at this point. It doesn't actually say exactly when this happened or what year or what time, when exactly it happened. We just know it was after he went to Paris, France to pursue a boxing career, from everything that I was able to read. And when he started fighting in MMA, he fought on the fight promotion, 100% Fight. It was called 100% Fight, and it was in France, and it was also regional all across Europe. So I take it at this point he did do a little traveling throughout the whole continent of Europe, just following the fight promotion. I guess kind of like ECW used to be in wrestling. And his first fight was against a guy named Luis Enrique in December 2019, December 19, 2015, on UFC on Fox. And then after that, he won that fight by TKO. But then after that, he fought a guy named Curtis Blades. I said Kevin Blades earlier, I believe, but the fighter's name is actually Curtis Blades. And Curtis Blades is an amazing fighter. This was like his second or third fight in the UFC. And guys, Curtis Blades is a 26-year-old young lion. A judo champion in the UFC. And you think this is this guy's second fight. Even though Curtis Blades is young, within his own right, he's a young lion. He's not established yet. But Curtis Blades, to me, is a pretty big name being thrown into his hat very early, because Curtis Blades at this time had a lot of momentum behind him. You know, Curtis Blades, I mean, he's a beast within his own right. I'll probably be making some videos about him as well, because Curtis Blades is a beast. Francis Ngannou took him out earlier in their career. We're just gonna kind of see if Francis Ngannou wins this channel. I'm pretty sure within the next 2 or 3 years, him and Curtis Blades will be hooking back up again, because Curtis Blades is 26 years old right now. I think he's like the youngest heavyweight, one of the youngest heavyweights. He's on a couple fight winning streak right now. So Curtis Blades will be definitely making some noise. He's getting better, and Francis Ngannou is getting better. And as Francis Ngannou gets older, and Curtis Blades, you know, starts coming to his prime, I would like to see that fight again. But to me, that was just interesting. He took Curtis Blades out that early, because I didn't actually start to watch Francis Ngannou until actually the Andre Arlovski fight. But between Curtis Blades and Andre Arlovski, he fought 2 fights, I think, against Bojan Mahacevic and Anthony Hamilton. And he beat Anthony Hamilton and got his performance of the night bonus. He beat Bojan, and he won the fight TKO in the first round. And he got performance of the night against Anthony Hamilton with submission. He actually did a submission. I think that was his first submission victory. He actually got a submission that fight. But then I want to fast forward to the Andre Arlovski fight. That was the first. This was when I actually became a big fan of his. He really caught my attention. And I think this is when he caught a lot of people's attention, because Andre Arlovski is kind of a big name. You know, Andre Arlovski is definitely legit. So when he beat Andre Arlovski TKO in the first round and got his second fight of the night performance bonus right there, you know, this when it started to catch a lot of people's attention, like, whoa, you know, he beat Andre Arlovski. This guy's game. This guy's a real tough fight. And for him to beat him, I mean, we need to be watching that. And I think after this fight, Dana White actually said that Ngannou would be a champion and would be a superstar. To me, Dana White has made some pretty foolish predictions in the past, but he's also been right on the money. Like, for instance, with Conor McGregor, he was right on the money. But whatever Dana White says, I typically take it with a grain of salt, because I know that he's a promoter trying to sell fighters. But for some reason, he said that it made me take a huge liking to France. It was not just that within itself. That kind of supported what I was already thinking about him, to see him knock out Andre Arlovski in the first round. And I didn't even know who this guy was. And I had watched a couple of Andre Arlovski fights. I've seen Andre Arlovski fight for titles. And for me just to not even know who this guy was, thinking that Francis Ngannou was about to get crushed, to knock this guy out in the first round made me a huge fan. And then I was really, really anticipating this next fight that he was supposed to participate in against Junior Dos Santos, which Junior Dos Santos actually pulled off of that card by USADA. Because right now he's under investigation for performance-enhancing drugs, or just a USADA violation in general. And that was supposed to be a UFC 215. So at UFC 215, they was looking for a replacement opponent for France, and I guess the time was wrong. They just could not make any type of deal, any type of fight materiate to take that fight's place. It's just impossible to do on such short notice. But this right here is what really, really made me think this guy could be the champion. This next fight, UFC 218, the uppercut from hell on Alistair Overeem, let me know that this guy right here was going to be big time. I don't know if you guys missed. If you're a UFC fan and you did not see the Alistair Overeem Francis Ngannou fight, you must be living under a rock. But this guy that was an amazing knockout. I mean, that's at least knockout of the year candidate. I mean, that was an amazing knockout. That's actually what got Francis Ngannou his title shot as Stipe Miocic at UFC 220, the win versus Alistair Overeem. But it was kind of an understory to all of that, but something that really caught my attention about Francis Ngannou. I don't know if a lot of you all remember, when he first started in the UFC, he actually could not speak English. I don't know if he used to have translators. I think one time his sister translated for him, and another time he actually had his manager or his trainer or somebody translate for him to translate to the UFC and to the audience what he was saying after fight victories. But After this fight, he was actually speaking English. His English is still kind of broken because he is a foreigner, only been in the U.S. 2 years. But what's amazing to me about it is he's actually speaking English. Now, he's one of the only fighters I ever seen within such a short period of time go from needing a translator to being able to do press conferences and post-fight interviews by themselves. But that wasn't what really caught my attention. What caught my attention was, here this guy is becoming the #1 contender for the heavyweight championship. He's in the city of dreams. He's in Vegas. I mean, having the night of his life. And probably the best moment and the most successful thing he's ever done in life, he thinks about slaves in Libya, and he begins to say, forget slavery, forget racism, it's evil, it's wrong. I just want to say that, I hope that everything is okay with all my brothers in Libya. And to me, that right there was really amazing because this guy's having such an amazing night. I mean, this guy, this moment has to be probably the best moment of his life, next to if he has any kids or anything. And for him to have other people on his mind who's not as fortunate as he is was really, really cool to me. And I think that shows you what type of a person he is, because here this guy is. He's been homeless. He's been he's come from a very poor village in Africa, and every time you see the guy, he's always smiling. He never seems upset. He never seems. He just comes off like as a good guy. Even the language barrier, even when the language barrier was there. I mean, he's big. He looks intimidating. The minute this guy opens his mouth, he's really, really compassionate, good guy. And basically after the fight with Alex over, he joined a title fight, which I think should be the co-main event of the UFC 220. We got Daniel Cormier and Uzumir fighting on that same card, and I think that's going to be a great card. And basically, that's all I really have concerning Francis Ngannou. I mean, guys, I looked all over the internet, searching for more details and more hidden stuff about this guy, but there's not a whole lot out there because he's really just now coming onto the scene. As he gets bigger, I think there will be more information out there on him and more stuff for us to kind of dissect. He kind of has a mystery aspect to him because he just comes out of nowhere and gets to knocking people out. He's from a poor village in Africa. That's pretty interesting. And basically, he's won the performance of the night 2 times. His mixed martial art record is he's 11-1. He has 12 total fights. He's won 4 by submission, but 7 by TKO KO. So this guy's won 7 fights by knockout, and he won 4 by submission. This guy has never been to decision but 1 time in a loss, and that loss I can probably not find anything on it because it's not in the UFC. And basically, my prediction for UFC 220, Stipe Miocic, which I hope that I'm saying his name right, and I hope I'm saying Francis Ngannou's name right, is that I believe that Stipe Miocic could have the advantage here. I think that Stipe Miocic could win this fight, but I'm going to follow my heart because I'm such a huge fan. I'm going to say that Francis Ngannou is going to win this fight TKO because there's a lot of question marks about Francis. Not a lot known about him, but as far as Stipe, we know that he's a great boxer. We know that Stipe can wrestle, and my biggest fear is that Stipe kind of does the rope-a-dope to him. And if he doesn't do the rope-a-dope, he could take the rope-a-dope effect and kind of try to hug him. Of course, he's not going to let a hard puncher like that just beat his face in or beat him to the body all night. But I have not seen Francis Ngannou get kicked in the legs a whole lot. I have not seen people actually take their time with him and actually just slow the fight down, because Alex Overeem came out and basically fought him like, we're going to see who the hardest. And, we saw how that worked out. But I think the Stipe is kind of more weary of the punching power of Francis Ngannou. I think the Stipe is going to take the approach of basically trying to get a leg, trying to grab his leg and take him down and get on top of him and make him carry his weight. And he's going to base whatever his approach is going to regard. My prediction is Stipe is going to have an approach that regards stamina. It pertains to stamina, trying to test that stamina, trying to test his heart, because it has not been tested. Like I said previously, he's won all of his fights in either short either the first round, second round. Only time he's been to decision is once. So this guy has not been 4 or 5 rounds in the UFC with a world champion. So I think that that's kind of what CPA's people is telling him he needs to try to test out and see about in this up and coming fight at UFC 220. But on the other hand, the reason why I think that Francis Ngannou will win this fight, I believe that Francis Ngannou will answer every single question that CPA has asked for him on January 20th. And the reason that I believe that is, I believe that Francis Ngannou has not is not a wrestler, but I think that his coaches will have his wrestling and takedown defense ready, because that's really all they have to focus on, and basically get him ready for boxing. I don't believe it's going to be a whole lot of kicking from CP, even though I have seen CP kick. I don't think it'll be a whole lot of kicking from CP. So I believe that they believe that their main focus is to be trying to keep him off the ground and try to keep this fight on their feet and make him and Stipe stand up and bang. And if I think him and Stipe stands up and bangs and just throws punches and just basically box each other, however you want, whatever you want to call it, I think that Francis Ngannou will eventually land one of them ham hocks on him, and I think Francis Ngannou will be able to put him down. And ladies and gentlemen, if you listen to this video, if you like this video, please like, comment, and share. This is Real Major Fight Commentary. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to have much more videos. We're going to have a lot of fun. Yes, I do put a short rap about whatever the topic is. So that is something I would normally and usually do, if for most of the big fights. And thank you all for listening. Peace out. Catch you later. Who is Francis Ngannou? Who is Francis Ngannou? Who is Francis Ngannou? Who is Francis Ngannou? Who? Who? Who is Francis Ngannou? Who is Francis Ngannou? What's up, people? Today's segment is Who is Francis Ngannou? We're going to have a great segment. I just want to have a little fun before every segment, if that's cool with you all. Who is Francis Ngannou? UFC 220. Who ready? Let's take a deeper look. Today we're going to take a deeper look into the man. Today we're going to take a deeper look into the hype. Find out the beginning, the past, and the present for this man. Let's check it out. Who is Francis Ngannou? He an African, and I ain't talking about Mustafa. He knocked over Ring and got the feeling like Rocky. Stole on Orlovsky, said, can't nobody stop me. He fucking cats hard, and I ain't talking about hockey. He getting a lot of friends, people jumping on his jockey. Because he hit you in the nose, your whole face snotty. Like you sniffing coke and you ain't Whitney or Bobby. Woo! What's up, people?